Most people grow up believing that success means perfection, a flawless career, a perfect body, a life that looks polished, stable, and impressive from the outside. Social media amplifies this idea, constantly showing us curated versions of success that seem effortless and complete. Yet even as people achieve more than ever, dissatisfaction quietly grows. The finish line keeps moving. What once felt like success now feels insufficient. From a Buddhist perspective, this is not surprising. Suffering increases when we chase fixed ideals in a world that is constantly changing. Fulfillment does not come from eliminating imperfection. It comes from understanding it. So what if perfection was never the goal? What if everything you were taught about success is quietly keeping you unhappy? The pursuit of perfection often begins with good intentions. You want to improve, you want stability, respect, and a sense of accomplishment. But somewhere along the way, improvement turns into pressure. There is always something more to fix. A better version of your body, a higher level of achievement, a more impressive lifestyle. Even when you reach a goal, satisfaction is brief. The mind quickly shifts to the next standard, the next comparison, the next expectation. Perfection always moves the goalpost. External validation plays a powerful role in this cycle. Praise feels good, but it is temporary. Approval depends on conditions you cannot fully control, and as soon as comparison enters, inadequacy follows. Someone else is doing better, someone else looks happier, someone else seems more successful. This creates a quiet inner belief. If I just fix one more thing, then I'll be enough. But that moment rarely arrives. From a Buddhist perspective, this endless striving is a form of suffering, not because goals are wrong, but because the mind ties worth and peace to outcomes. The self becomes something to perfect rather than something to understand. Perfection promises peace. It suggests that once everything is flawless, the mind can finally rest. But in reality, it delivers pressure. Pressure to maintain appearances, pressure to avoid mistakes, pressure to never fall behind. And the more pressure there is, the further peace seems to drift away. This is the paradox. The harder we chase flawlessness, the less fulfilled we feel, because peace was never found at the finish line. It was lost in the chase. One of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism is impermanence. Everything changes, not occasionally, but constantly. Circumstances shift, emotions rise and fall. Success turns into challenge, and failure into learning. Even the sense of who you are is not fixed. Yet the idea of perfection assumes the opposite. It suggests there is a final state you can reach and maintain, a version of life where nothing goes wrong, nothing changes, and nothing threatens your sense of stability. From a Buddhist perspective, this expectation is the root of much suffering. Trying to freeze life at perfect creates tension. You begin guarding what you have, fearing loss, resisting change. What once felt like success becomes something you must protect. And because life never stops moving, that protection eventually fails. Nothing stays flawless, and that is not a personal failure. It is the nature of reality. Buddhism does not present impermanence as something to mourn, but something to understand. When you accept that change is inevitable, you stop treating it as an enemy. You no longer blame yourself when conditions shift. You adapt instead of collapse. Goals are still useful, effort still matters, but they are no longer permanent anchors for your worth or peace. They become part of a moving process rather than a final destination. You don't fail because perfection fades. Perfection fails because life moves. And when you stop demanding that life remain fixed, a new kind of ease appears. You engage fully without clinging. You succeed without fear. You begin to experience freedom, not despite impermanence, but because of it. Perfection often disguises itself as high standards. It tells you that being hard on yourself is necessary for growth. That self-criticism keeps you sharp, disciplined, and improving. But over time, this harsh inner voice does not produce excellence. It produces exhaustion. When perfection is the goal, the inner critic grows louder. Every mistake becomes evidence of failure. Every pause becomes laziness. Every imperfection feels unacceptable. Even progress is dismissed because it is not enough yet. From a Buddhist perspective, this is a form of self-violence. True growth does not require punishment. It requires understanding. Buddhism teaches loving kindness toward oneself, not as indulgence, but as a foundation for clarity and resilience. When you meet mistakes with curiosity instead of contempt, learning becomes possible. Self-compassion does not mean lowering standards. It means changing the relationship with effort. You continue to grow, but without hostility toward yourself. You correct without shaming. You improve without attacking your worth. When mistakes are met with kindness, the nervous system relaxes. The mind becomes more open. Instead of freezing under pressure, you adapt. Instead of hiding flaws, you learn from them. This shift is powerful. Growth accelerates not because you push harder, but because you stop fighting yourself. From a Buddhist view, compassion is strength. It allows you to face reality without collapse. It gives you the courage to be honest about where you are, without fear of judgment, especially from yourself. True growth happens when kindness replaces self-violence, and success becomes something you live, not something you punish yourself into achieving. Modern definitions of success often focus on the individual, personal achievements, personal recognition, personal gain. But when success is disconnected from others, it often feels strangely empty. The satisfaction fades quickly, and the need for more returns. From a Buddhist perspective, this is because no success exists in isolation. Everything arises through conditions, support from others, circumstances, timing, and countless unseen influences. Recognizing this interdependence softens the idea that success is something we achieve alone. Buddhism teaches that all beings are interconnected. Our actions, words, and intentions ripple outward, affecting others in ways we may never fully see. When success is measured only by image or status, this wider impact is ignored. But when contribution becomes part of the definition, fulfillment deepens. Success then includes how you treat people along the way. It includes whether your growth creates ease or tension in your relationships. It includes whether your presence brings clarity, kindness, or understanding into the spaces you enter. This shift from me to we changes everything. Instead of constantly comparing yourself to others, you begin to see yourself as part of a larger whole. Instead of competing for validation, you contribute with intention. Fulfillment grows when benefit is shared. Even small acts, listening deeply, acting ethically, supporting others, become meaningful expressions of success. The need to prove yourself softens because your value is no longer measured by appearance alone. Success deepens when it includes more than just you. Much of life is spent chasing milestones, the next promotion, the next achievement, the next moment when everything will finally feel settled. But when fulfillment is always postponed into the future, the present moment is rarely lived. From a Buddhist perspective, this constant postponement is a subtle form of suffering. The mind becomes conditioned to believe that peace arrives later, after success, after improvement, after perfection. And so even meaningful accomplishments feel incomplete. Mindfulness offers a different approach. Instead of waiting for fulfillment to arrive, it invites you to experience the present fully. not by rejecting goals, but by loosening the belief that happiness depends on reaching them. Inner fulfillment arises when awareness meets the moment without judgment. When you are no longer measuring yourself against what should happen next, a quiet contentment becomes possible, even in ordinary moments. This does not mean abandoning ambition. It means changing your relationship with it. You still act, create, and grow, but without urgency rooted in fear or inadequacy. Peace is no longer something to earn. It becomes something to cultivate. Buddhism teaches that contentment is a skill. It is developed through attention, patience, and acceptance. When contentment grows, joy no longer depends on winning or arriving. It arises naturally from being present and engaged. When peace is present, success stops being urgent. Goals become expressions of interest rather than proofs of worth. And life feels fuller, not because everything is achieved, but because nothing essential is missing in this moment. When Buddhist wisdom speaks about success, it does not point to perfection, status, or flawless outcomes. It points inward towards steadiness, wisdom, and compassion. True success is the ability to meet life as it is, without collapsing or hardening. It is the capacity to remain grounded during uncertainty, kind during difficulty, and clear during change. This kind of success does not depend on circumstances being ideal. It depends on the quality of awareness you bring to each moment. From a Buddhist perspective, being at ease with imperfection is not resignation, it is maturity. Life will always include mistakes, losses, and unfinished moments. When you stop demanding flawlessness from yourself and the world, energy previously spent on self-judgment becomes available for presence and care. Living well does not mean living flawlessly. It means responding wisely. It means acting with integrity even when outcomes are uncertain. It means learning without harshness, growing without aggression, and caring without attachment to results. This reframes success entirely. Instead of asking, "How perfect does my life look?" the question becomes, "How do I meet what arises?" With fear or curiosity, with self-attack or understanding, with resistance or openness. Success, then, is not a destination you reach. It is a way of relating. It shows up in how you speak to yourself, how you treat others, and how you move through change. In this light, success becomes available in every moment, not because everything is right, but because you are present, flexible, and compassionate within what is. You don't need to become flawless to live a meaningful life. You don't need to eliminate mistakes, uncertainty, or imperfection to be at peace. From a Buddhist perspective, inner peace itself is a form of success, one that is available right now. Imperfection does not disqualify you. It humanizes you. It invites understanding, connection, and growth. When you stop measuring your worth by impossible standards, life begins to feel lighter and more sincere. Take a moment to reflect on where you've been chasing perfection instead of presence. You're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments. And if this perspective resonates with you, subscribe to the channel for more reflections rooted in Buddhist wisdom. True success is not becoming perfect. It's becoming at peace with being human.